Hello everyone, today I'd like to talk about Francesca Bianchi's latest release, in keeping with the things I've said in my last video about being motivated only when to film only when buying something, which is again sad, something I struggle with. But this time it's not about truly about motivation, as I think as I purchased her last fragrance, which was Unspoken Musk. I think that night or that morning I got an email about her next release, which was this Byzantine Amber. And it got me excited. Of course it got me excited, but she is releasing them by the bunch lately, so of course I had to see what this was about. I pre-ordered it, so let's open this up. I don't know what to say about this because I have truly no idea what to expect other than a Francesca Bianchi take on Amber, saying that I do have some concerns that I think are not justified, because I did look at the notes. She did release the notes quite early. So not a fear exactly, but my concern was that it might be a bit similar to her other Amber, which is the Dark Side, which isn't a fragrance I dislike by any means. I quite like the fragrance. It's just that I find it a bit too bland for my taste, and it's definitely nothing. It doesn't, doesn't scream something very terribly must-have-ish about that fragrance. So let's open up this. This has to be my, I don't know, I've got so many of them. This is a Francesca Bianchi catalog. So we have a talkative cat today. There you go. Let's get to the fragrance, because this has to be, because she said about this, her latest 3 launches, which were Liberty, Neroli, Unspoken Musk, and this one, Byzantine Amber. I don't know why I have the tendency to say Byzantine Armor. So if you hear me saying Byzantine Armor, I'm sorry in advance. So this is, they form a collection in themselves, attributed to materials, to her favorite materials or something like that, as she says this on her website. But other than that, I am quite curious about the fragrance, and there it is. There it is, Byzantine Amber, in her usual presentation style. I'm guessing today's video won't be a long one, just me gushing about this new release, or not, hopefully. Okay, there I go. I love the color of it. It's quite ambery, quite dark. So if my cat will stay through the spraying of Byzantine Amber. Okay. Well, the good thing is, the initial spray is reminding me of Angel's Dust. This is the good thing, because it's not reminding me of the Dark Side all that much. But it is interesting. It's a very... this amber has a bite to it. It's very... I don't know, it's very difficult to pull apart what I'm smelling. Oh God. I knew at some level this was going to be a difficult video for me to try to explain. This is such a challenge for me always, to try to convey to you what something smells like from a screen. It's not easy, but smelling this, it's really difficult to pull apart. All I can smell now is a very spicy amber, and it's unmistakably an amber, although I couldn't pinpoint the exact resins she used to create this amber. And this is fascinating because usually I'm able to do this for the most part. I guess I could pick up labdanum, although I'm not sure, because there is a leathery animalic part to this conglomerate. But there is something sort of like a metal sheen. There's something metallic, and it has a bite, and it catches the light in some ways, but it's very difficult because you tend to be influenced by the naming, by the title, by everything she wrote, by the commercial release, everything. So it is quite difficult, but there is something almost crystalline. So the spiciness, the thing that has a metallic bite to it, almost gives it a crystalline, a light reflecting thing, which is quite unique to her other fragrances, if I do say so myself. So when I heard that she uses one of the notes for this was cinnamon, I instantly thought of Obsession by Calvin Klein, because that is one of the big cinnamon ambers out there, right? And no similarities, for good or worse. I don't know what to say about that. But also the cinnamon isn't your typical cinnamon. It's just a spicy, very, because this is the cinnamon is I'm guessing responsible for that spiciness, for that metallic sheen. It's just in its woody, spicy, very pungent aspect. It's not the usual cinnamon feel, if that makes sense. It's amazing because you get all these different color impressions to rich browns, deep golds, and of course bright red for some reason. So very contrasting. A lot of things are going on. And the thing I said at the beginning, that it's reminding me tangentially, I don't know how to say this, it's sort of reminding me of Angel's Dust for some reason, because it does have the typical Bianchi signature, which is of course a combination of leathery iris, animalics, powdery notes, but they are there. Definitely they are there. I guess it makes the fragrance even more interesting, and it makes it unique and apart, because when you launch another amber in this day and age, what can you tell me? What else can you tell me about amber? But it's interesting because Angel's Dust is in itself an amber, right? So I'm just gonna scroll down to the notes here. Oh, this is Fragrantica. I want to go to the official. All right. So Byzantine Amber. For the mood, she says dramatic, hypnotic, theatrical. It is a big fragrance, to be sure. It is quite it is quite imposing. So she says, dark and obscure, shimmering with gold, dramatic and decadent. This is what I said about being influenced. These are some of the things I said earlier, and I'm pretty sure, because I know I read this, so I might have been influenced by that. Dramatic and decadent. Byzantine Amber is my interpretation of the ambery accord. An opening with cinnamon and the pulpiness of geranium. So, the geranium here isn't rosy, but it's more bitter and greenish, so that it has this huge undertone that reminds me of, again, for the 100th time, Etruscan water, which is one of my absolute favorites from her fragrances. So interesting, because also this fragrance, I know it has a mineral facet from ambergris, right? So again, interesting. The complexities of this fragrance. I must say, I think I'm safe enough from the similarities with the dark side. I think it's fair enough to say, although I think the dark side is even more pungent, and it even has more of a bite, of a fiery bite. Okay. Cinnamon and the pulpiness of geranium develops into an ambery base with a dark animal and mineral facet. Byzantine Amber is the third fragrance that makes up, as I said, together with the series specifically dedicated to the glorious raw materials of perfumery, reinterpreted according to the style of the house. Byzantine Amber is an intense and decadent perfume. It is that, like a great civilization in the final phase of its splendor. So, regarding this, I did read a wonderful article in Saint Fleurbon. I will link it below if you're interested in reading something that is just so well written by Nicoletta Tomsha. I do recommend that article about Byzantine Amber. So yeah, I think it's the most poetic thing you can read about this fragrance. So I wholeheartedly recommend it. An inspiration for this fragrance was Salomé by Gustave Moreau. Of course, I will put it on the screen, because that is just glorious. It is glorious, and what I like about Salomé is the way because there are a lot of interesting things about that painting, is the way kind of the main character, which is of course Salome, is contrasted, and somehow she gets the I don't want to say the upper hand, but the more important role over the fact that dead center in the painting is the dramatic head of John the Baptist. So she gets further in the foreground, right? Then she is more important than the head of John the Baptist, which is amazing. This painting can evoke the splendor and drama of this olfactory work in images, and yes, indeed. And it is quite telling how Francesca associates her work, her fragrances with famous paintings. I think it works. I think it works quite a lot. The beautiful mosaics, another inspiration, the beautiful mosaics of the Byzantine civilization, such as those of Ravenna, have those gleaming gold tesserae, which are imperfect for being worn out over time. the sense of theatrical and luminous splendor accompanied by a dark and obscure side inspired by Byzantine amber. So again, contrasts, right? Huge contrasts. But I was looking for the notes, right? So the notes are bergamot, cinnamon, geranium, benzoin, labdanum, frankincense. These form the core of the amber. Leather, which is labdanum leather, and it is quite sweet, right? So it's nice that I can finally maybe touch on them a bit. The leather is quite sweet, and I do enjoy this. This is one of her sweeter leathers. It's not one of those, it's nothing like the Lover's Tale leather, which is, I think it's again I think it's a labdanum leather. Not sure, I'm not terribly sure, but again, it's nothing like that fragrance. It's sweet, it's mild, it's just there as it has to be. Reminds me, of course, about the leather from Shalimar. It has to, because it's the same typical amber leather, styrax and ambergris. Now, of course, I should have done this from the beginning. I want to also spray this on the skin. I have nothing else for the agenda for today on the agenda, so I can enjoy this fragrance at large. So on the skin, things are a bit more clear, because it does start as sort of a combination between Angel's Dust without the very dramatic violets, but it does have a rosiness to it, which does remind me of Angel's Dust, combined with sort of the ambery parts, the golden parts, the lighter parts from the dark side. And on the skin, the cinnamon is a lot more cinnamony, right? It's just to see the difference from skin to paper. It's amazing. And it is quite interesting. It's very luring, right? It's very luring. Something I like to smell. It's very rich. I don't know about decadent, apart from the associations. But I think the thing that saves this fragrance from, I don't know, being another amber, just another amber, is of course her signature. But her signature is milder on the skin, mind you. But I think the thing that saves this fragrance is the cinnamon. Oh, and it is chocolatey cinnamon right now. Oh, this is interesting. Because, the amber, amber has such a lot of things to offer. It's the benzoin that kind of gives this the caramel chocolatey thing. And with that cinnamon, it's quite interesting. It smells, again, it smells like a lot of, just a bunch of spices. And very true to the amber genre of fragrances. Yeah, this spicy richness, fullness. Not a lot of vanilla in this, which is something I do enjoy. I do prefer, well, it depends on my mood really, but I lately I like to see a lot more of the drier ambers, the more the more resinous ambers, the more balsamic ambers, rather than the more vanillic ones. And there, yes, and there you have the frankincense. So it is quite, you can sort of pull them apart to a certain degree when you kind of concentrate on what each of them are doing, right? So benzoin comes with the sort of caramel bitiness, you know, you know what I'm trying to say, the caramel bite. Labdanum comes with the sweetish, resinous, leathery, animalic, darker undertones, and frankincense comes with this unmistakably, you know, church incense facet aspect. I don't know what to call it, and it's there. And I was kind of looking for it because what would a Byzantine inspired scent be without frankincense? I think that would be preposterous. So it is there. So I just got this very powdery, velvety whiff, but I don't know where it's coming from, and this is interesting. So there are a lot more things going on here than the notes might describe. Oh my god. Yes, a beautiful amber. I don't know what else to say about this at this point. I am waiting for the ambergris to show its face, as it does. It has to do at some point, and I will let you know about, because this is not a review, this is just a hot take, this is a first impression. I will have to give this a few wears to properly understand this fragrance, but as it is, I think it is a beautiful amber. I think it's quite luring. I think it's very complex. I think it has a lot of things to offer, even for the most experienced amber users. So yeah, if you're curious, give Byzantine Amber a try. I don't think it will disappoint. So yes, with that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.